Well, hello and welcome back. We are on day 3 of our Confident and Bold challenge as we build out the magic spell that is going to power up your day, your week, and your vision. So, who is excited about jumping into the next step? That place where we tackle those triggers that in the past have hijacked your intentions. We start to apply, excuse me, we apply some water first. We start to apply your strengths to those places that used to be your pitfalls and now suddenly transform into the things that generate your confident and bold action. We blast out the negative thoughts, those automatic negative thoughts that you hear about, those ants to stomp on. And those negative thoughts can hijack your energy and your flow, or they can just get in the way of really enjoying some of the triumphant things that you're doing. So we are on step 3 of 5 of putting that magic ritual together that powers up your natural and automagic state of confident and bold. And from this place, all of your actions to achieve your vision take place. To share with you a little bit about what we're working on here. So this is Robert Dilt's logical levels. And when you hear about people saying higher order change, this is all they mean. So at the bottom of the pyramid, we have your environment. And your environment, you create your environment and then it creates you. So if you have not intentionally created this environment, then it can get in the way of what you're doing. We're actually working at the level of your identity and your beliefs about yourself as we focus in on your strengths. We're actually bringing forward some of the things that you might have forgotten about your identity as we identify and build more awareness about your strengths so that we can have an impact on your behavior. Remember, in NLP coaching, we recognize that results come from how you behave, the actions that you take to achieve that vision that you're after. And if we just work at the level of behaviors, that's the lower order change. We're pumping it up to how you think about yourself, what you're thinking about during the day. And this is tying into the beliefs that you hold about yourself. And actually on Monday, when we come back for that bonus magic layers, we're going to do some really profound identity work. Because you want to have a map of where you're going, and you want to have the confidence in your map of who you are and that it's aligned so that you have a little bit more detail on your map. You don't want to be like these mice looking at the where am I now and feeling like, oh, right here in the middle of the snake. Or the mouse on the treadmill. What is it about all these mice, right? They just don't seem to have the capability to move forward at all. So let's not be those mice. Let's get off that treadmill and get into some fun actions. Hey, James, good to see you. So glad that you joined me today in the live section. If you are watching this in the replay, that's okay. Hashtag replay in the comments as you share some of your insights of what you're finding. So let's jump in to, not jump into today. Let's jump back into yesterday because I'm curious what you learned about yourself yesterday. Yesterday was an important day, a day that you chose to live with a different awareness. How did it feel spending a day noticing that you are strong? This is a very different way to focus during your day. Our brains are all wired to focus on recovering from weaknesses and watching out for dangers and looking for negative inferences in our environment. You didn't do that yesterday. You looked at the behaviors you're already doing, that you're already using your core strengths in. Instead of being on the alert for what could kill you, you spent the day building awareness of how you're using your core strengths, interrupting the automatic to notice the positive and notice your power. This step lets you get out of your unconscious competence and become conscious again of that competence. Because remember, where focus goes, energy flows. And when we're building up our energy and leveraging that, we feel that energy inside of us instead of feeling like the energy is being sucked away from us. Did you have any interesting dreams last night? or wake up a little differently this morning after that experience? What would happen if you activated your core strengths in your awareness as you fell asleep? That would be a fun experiment, wouldn't it? I encourage you to have a peek at that. As a brain hacker, you are discovering the tools that work and using them to reprogram at the unconscious level. Awareness is like the bezoar. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm a reader, not a movie watcher. In Harry Potter, where they grab the bezoar and they shove it into Ron's mouth, and it's an antidote to all the poison, so you don't have to figure out what the poison is, you just fix it. Awareness of your strengths is just like that. It gets rid of the toxicity and the negative thoughts in your environment because you're not focusing on that. You're focusing on your authentic alignment with your strengths. Now, as you build out this magic spell, we're on step 3 of, some of it is fairy dust and some of it is Eye of Newt. Some people love logging and journaling and taking that time and interrupting the pattern of their day. For others, it feels a little bit like the Eye of Newt work. So we're on step 3. We identified your strengths. We built awareness yesterday. Today is all about activating and using your knowledge and your new knowledge, possibly, of brain science and turning on inside your reticular activating system, that part of your brain that chooses what to notice, that you are strong. So we're going to apply some more positive disruption to your day, breaking the habit of automatic negative thoughts by inserting something else. Breaking the habit, and yes, it's a habit, of being defeated or frustrated or having imposter thoughts creep in. And it's nice to know it's a habit, isn't it? Because we can break habits. It's not your personality. It's just something that has installed itself in your brain at this point in time. So stop beating yourself up in challenging situations because, you chose the career of entrepreneur, which means you chose a life of challenging situations, challenges that inspire you to grow, inspire you to bring out your talent, your superhero skills, as James can help you find, and empower those into the life of yourself, your business, but also into the lives of the clients you serve. So it makes sense, doesn't it, to have some tools and strategies to conquer challenging situations so they are exciting instead of overwhelming. Today, we're going to employ some of Hebb's law, which is one of my favorite laws of brain hacking. It's very simple, but it is massively powerful, this brain science concept. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So if something is happening and we fire off a different neuron and we do that consistently, it becomes an unconscious habit. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire off the neurons of your strength so that when the neurons that fire during a trigger go off, the strength neurons happen at the same time. And this is where we start to really embrace that, oh, a challenge has happened, I'm excited, because our strength naturally shows up during the challenge. This is easy, this is doable, and it's so simple that you're going to wonder if it's really as powerful as it is. Sometimes we think that the simple things are not as strong, but realistically, all the most profound things are simple, like love. So simple. Like beauty, right? You can find it everywhere. Just the sunrise. A simple way of showing up very present in your day. This simplicity is where the power is found. The more often you practice it, the stronger the connection created. So in the past, you might have thought of those triggers as a bad thing, right? When you're triggered into doubt or into fear or into anxiety, that doesn't sound very good, does it? What we're going to do, though, is use that opportunity of what caused the trigger and turn it into a magic wand. So, for instance, if your cell phone ringing used to trigger you into, oh my God, what did I forget? Oh, I can't talk to that person. I'm not ready. What if your cell phone ringing triggered you into, man, I'm successful. I am so popular. This is really working. I'm excited. It's doable, it's easy, and it's up to you. It's a choice and a tool. So think about a specific incident that in the past would have thrown you off, that you can count on to throw you off. That's how you know it's a trigger. Several things may be happening. You see something or you hear something, and that's the trigger that leads you to tell yourself a story. Like I said with the cell phone, oh no, that person's probably mad at me. That's why they're calling me. That's just a story. You don't know why they're calling. They might be calling because they have more work or they have a referral for you. But that story you tell yourself of, oh, they might be mad at me, leads to a negative emotion, doesn't it? Fear and doubt and dread and imposter syndrome. Oh no, they're going to find out I'm a fraud. At last, they've discovered me. Terrible feelings from these stories we tell ourselves when we're triggered. And then often that will lead to a behavior that you do not want to do, like I'm going to ignore the phone and avoid it and hide from it for the day and go eat chocolate. Not that chocolate's a bad thing. It's just not a substitute for the positive action you wanted to take. Those obstacles, when we have the skill to reprogram the trigger, become opportunities for growth, for learning, for using your strengths, and to deepen the mindfulness practice of using your strengths. It's a growth mindset approach instead of a fixed mindset of rigidity where you were locked into processing and handling problems in that old way. We open that flexibility up. So the first step of your work today is brainstorming all those triggers. Now they're like a shopping list, this wonderful list of possibility and empowerment. Whereas they used to be negative, now you can use them to trigger your strengths. Once you have a list of the triggers, and you'll see this in the homework sheet, you'll identify the emotion or the story that's tied to it. Why did this thing that's happening, the phone ringing, me opening my email, a text message coming in, seeing somebody respond on Facebook, why did that trigger something negative? What is the emotion and what was the story tied to it to create that emotion? And then identify how you want to be instead. I'm going to use this trigger. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be firing me off into impact and excitement. So what strengths will get you out of that story, out of that emotion, and into the new way you want to be so that you can do what you want to do? So you'll see that worksheet and it's laid out exactly like that. What's the trigger? What's the story or the emotion I would be telling myself in order to feel triggered by it? What do I want to do or be like instead? And what strength can I employ? Maybe even how can I use that strength, right? Start doing some positive rehearsal about your new confident and bold self this way. We're going to practice 3 new tools: activating and connecting strength to the challenging situation. So first, tool number 1 is to learn how to set your state to neutral. The challenge with a lot of triggers is they fire your amygdala, right? We talked about this triune brain where you get that stressor, it fires your amygdala and boom, you flip your lid and you're offline down in the reptilian brain. That's okay. You're human, right? It's going to happen. Knowing that it's going to happen and that you have a tool for it is what lets you bring it back down again. There is a very light, deliberate trance state that removes any and all emotional charge from a situation. And it's very simple. It's very, very fast. It's called reset the world or peripheral vision. I could go on and on geeky about why this works, and I'm going to resist doing that until the weekend. I'm going to go do a couple of extra lives in the group on the weekend just to share some of the timey-wimey, sciencey, geeky stuff around this. But for now, let's just do the tool. Just pick a spot on the wall, a small spot that you can focus on and focus intently on that spot for a moment. Could even be a spot on your screen, but I don't recommend that because your screen, you're tricking yourself into thinking that it's 3-dimensional. So look away from the screen and find a spot, even something on the ceiling, not a fly moving. You want it to be holding still. And just stare at that spot intently for just a moment, letting it completely absorb all of your attention. Good. Now, as you are engrossed in that spot, slowly and gradually allow yourself to become aware of some of the things on the peripheral, your peripheral vision. Let that slowly expand and expand and expand. You can even hold your hands up so you can see your fingers wiggling. And as you move out of that foveal vision into peripheral vision, you notice that you are getting a more expansive view of the world. Now let's turn this into magic and wrap your peripheral vision 360 degrees around you so that you have eyes in the back of your head. Just imagine, without turning, 360-degree peripheral vision. What this has done is bring you into your unconscious to a light trance level that is deliberate, that removes you from emotion. The more you practice this, the more profound an impact you will find it has. But even in this first moment, notice how you're feeling that in your body, that sensation. And notice that those emotions that might have been present have disappeared. You will get to the point where you can do this in just a moment, where it's like focus, peripheral, 360. And you're like, okay, calm. Tool number 2, bring your attention to your breath for a moment. We're going to do something called strength rehearsal. So this is a little bit of NLP, a little bit of hypnosis as we just allow ourselves to focus inward. A great way to begin focusing inward is to anchor yourself to your breath, the feeling of your breath. Don't try to make yourself breathe differently. It doesn't need to happen, isn't even useful. Just notice the breath, feeling the breath in, feeling the breath out, allowing your anchor to that breath to be stronger as you just grow more awareness of it. You can close your eyes if you want, or just have a soft gaze. Now call to mind a problem that you wish to focus on, something that you might worry about, one of those triggers. Imagine a specific incident of it in the past where that has happened to you. Picture all the details. Allow the problem to play out in your mind like a story, like a movie. See the people involved, the environment you were in. Got it? Notice your body's reaction. Become aware of your body's sensations and your emotions right in this moment. What do you feel in your body? Just breathe with the sensations and the feelings of that challenging time. Perhaps you can allow yourself to accept the feelings as a part of the present moment experience. Just a part of it, just accept it. As you follow your breathing, mindfully reflect on what strengths you might have been overusing or underusing with that problem. Yesterday, we talked about how a strength dialed up too high becomes a weakness, or that same range dialing too low, it can be a weakness. What's being overused? What's being underused? Now, consider what of your core strengths needs to be brought forth. Continue to breathe, just observing your moment-to-moment experience. In a moment, I'll invite you to start that image or that movie over, and this time replay the exact same movie with one important difference. This time you'll be using one of your core strengths to help you better manage or solve the problem. All right, go ahead and restart that movie. Picture your successful use of the strengths within that difficulty. Just keep playing it all the way through, but now that strength is activated. Take note of how the difficulty is now managed or improved. Just allow yourself to see all the differences and notice how is it different. And then just return to the breath and return to now. Today you're going to do the same thing as you live your day, but deliberately activating your strengths during any challenges. So there is a worksheet, a handout that you'll be downloading today that should be in your inbox now that leads you through this process in the moment. So we just did a rehearsal, which is incredibly valuable. You can rehearse something that you know you do over and over again so that you're installing new neurology around that trigger, around the behavior you want to do. And you'll do that as you're mapping out the day. But in the moment, it's valuable to have this tool as well. So the worksheet within has this tool in there. If you've designed a day without challenges today, add some in. Calling that person you've been putting off, tackling some paperwork or administrivia that you're like, oh, it's a mountain, I'm overwhelmed, or something that sounds incredibly boring. Or even asking for help. If you've been putting off reaching out to a mentor or a coach or a colleague, somebody who might be an accountability partner, and you're like, yeah, I don't know, that's kind of vulnerable. build some of those challenges back in so you can start exercising the brain in this fashion. Remember, your natural state is confident and bold. When you confront a challenge, it can throw you off, right? Unless you use that feeling of, uh-oh, to instantly activate one of your signature strengths, one of your core strengths. So yesterday you noticed you're already using your core strengths. Today you look for opportunities to insert those strengths. Just install those strengths into challenges. Tool number 3 is a recovery strategy. So what if the trigger happens and it hijacks you? It fires off the amygdala before you have time to start the strength process. That is a great question. So you can do that reset the world. There's another recovery process that you can also do that brings the strengths in as well. So I advise do that focus, peripheral, 360, and add this recovery strategy in. It's creating a strengths verse for yourself that includes your top 3 to 5 strengths. You can use the example that's in the worksheet and just edit it to include your top strengths. So breathing in, I see my strengths, right? Open the awareness back up. Breathing out, I value my strengths. Ratify it. Stop being unconsciously competent. Be conscious of it. Value it. Breathing in, dwelling now in my strengths. Breathing out, I express myself fully. All those strengths come to bear. And then your own version will include breathing in, I see my potential. It's there. It's ready to be unlocked. Breathing out, I see my, and insert your strengths, curiosity, compassion. Those are ones that really rev me up. Remembering and using my strengths, I grow and I deepen. I recognize the growth that is happening, and I know that I'm pursuing it on purpose. So you'll find this in your homework so you can customize it for your use. So your homework today, brainstorm those triggers, right? Map out that chart and then deliberately challenge yourself today. During the day, when you feel your energy ebb, when you're confronted by a challenge, you have your recovery tool to do, and you will see that 3-step process right there in that handout. You may want to say it out loud so you can hear it, or just imagine hearing it in your own voice as you breathe. This makes it visual, auditory, kinesthetic, all in one. The more you can immerse yourself in these tools, the more profound an effect it will be. And then hop onto Facebook and share with me what was the most surprising thing that happened as you deliberately looked at the triggers and went, oh, these are no longer dangerous, and started playing with them to map out how you want to be instead. Went a little bit longer today. Thank you so much for imagining along with me. Practice these. You may want to replay the video just to get a little bit more practice today, and then go grab those worksheets and do the work. Love to hear how this is going for you. I am excited for your progress. We have 2 more steps as we build out your magic spell. So I will see you tomorrow as we implement the next level. See you then.